Hey guys, so we've done the front brake pads and we've rebuilt this front caliper. There was a sticky piston in it, so we kind of popped the pistons out, cleaned them up, lubed them up, put them back in, new pads, so that's all good, and we re-bleeded the system so the brake levers are all nice and hard. So now we're going to do the front and rear sprocket and new chain. So we've got new bits here, nice shiny new sprockets. Nice standard did chain, and yeah, let's get into it. So step one, with some circuit pliers, I'm going to take off the old link. There we go. It's the old one, and now we've just got these pins. We just pull out one of them, and then the whole chain just splits at that point, and then you can just pull the old chain through. Try not to hit the bodywork on the way down. There we go. Greasy old chain. So this was getting quite worn, and you could tell it because it had a really tight spot in it. So part of it was really loose and then part of it was really tight. So much so that if you spun the wheel like this, you could actually see the chain tense when it got to the tight point. So, and it was making a noise whilst you were riding it. So that is junk. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to probably do the front sprocket. So we'll take the front cover off, take the linkage off for the gear selector, and then this little cover off, and then we'll have a look at the front sprocket. So the gear selector, just 10mm spanner. I'll probably use a ratchet spanner just because it's quicker. There we go, done. Okay, and then two 8mm bolts there and there. You always want to cloth around as well, because anytime you're doing shit like this, you will get grease and shit everywhere. Lovely. Now is a perfect opportunity to, once you take that sprocket off, to clean all this crap. Because the more crap you leave there, the worse it's going to affect all your new parts, which you pay good money for. Cool. So that looks like just some 10mm, two 10mm bolts. Big boy extension. Ah, right. So you're going to need to put it in gear. Boom. In gear. That will now not move. Boom. Boom. Don't do that. Another good reason why you shouldn't be lazy like me, and you should take the fairing off, especially when it's this mint. But then we've got this little retainer clip, which is sided. It has a flat side and then a curved side, so the curved side comes outwards to the outside of the bike, and then we should have the sprocket, which just moves off. The extruded part goes towards the engine. So I'm probably going to pause the video now, do a bit of a clean, and then I will see you in a few minutes. So I succumbed to the pressure and took the fairing off just because it was getting in the way. So you can see all the just gunk and just crap that we've got in here. So we're going to go to town with cloth, some degreaser, and my dad's toothbrush. metal under all that dirt. So that's all looking good now. So we've got our new sprocket, so we're just going to place that on. Boom. Then we have this, which we've just wiped down now. Flat side goes onto the sprocket. So the sprocket doesn't actually go all the way back onto the shaft, it actually comes forward a bit. And how you know how much is there's this little groove in the spigot here, and these holes are actually slightly rotated off those holes. So if I just put this straight on like that, you see that the holes don't line up. So what you need to do is you need to pull the whole unit, the sprocket and little plate forward until this little plate's in that channel, and then it can rotate. And then you put some Loctite on your bolts. Screw that sucker in. Sweet, done. So we've taken the old chain off, we've taken the old front sprocket off, and we've replaced and torqued up the new sprocket, so that's where it should be. So the next step, take rear wheel off, take old rear sprocket off, and then put the new rear sprocket on. Cool, let's get into it. There we go, pin out. Next, look at the size of my sockets. Yes. Boom, axle out. That was actually very easy. It's not usually that easy. And then hopefully the rear caliper lets go. Clingy motherfucker. Boom. And we're free. Hold it by the bearings. Don't fucking munch that. There we go. Oh, you know what? I think we can do some more cleaning. Just had a quick break, just to put a plaster on. All good. Get it away from the rubber whilst you're heating it. So we've given everything a pretty good clean actually, and it's all looking pretty good. The inside of my swing arm. So we've got the new sprocket on, all torqued and Loctited up. So now we're just gonna chuck this in the hole. Boom. Now you spin it and see that it runs true. It's really good, it spins for ages. Cool, so now we get our chain. the length of the chain to suit. So we've put both our axle adjusters all the way forward because the chain will expand over time. It will stretch out. We've got the pin with the U shaping that way, with the open end facing this way. And yeah, we're just going to do the slack measurement now. So the value for the A model, the ZXR250A, is 25 to 35 millimeters of slack. So that means the distance which this moves up and down is 25 to 30. So that's what you're aiming for. The service limit's 25 to 35. So we've got a bit much at the moment, so we're going to back it up a bit. So you want your axle nut to be loose. So you see the top of the chain is at 25, and then we push the chain up, keeping the rule the same, and the chain gets to 0. So that's got about 25 of slack. So do that. Check it again at another point. Now it is a brand new chain, so it will, over the first like 100 kilometers, it will stretch a little bit. So if anything, go on the tight side. Just need to make sure that our we're equal side to side. So that's 1, 2, just on the 3rd mark. Back into the V. 1, 2, back into the V. So we've got the chain slack right, so now we just tighten up our chain adjusters again. So it's a 12 mil nut, not that tight. Then the lock nut, and just nip that up. So 24 mil socket, torque wrench, 110 Newton meters. Boom. New cotter pin through the hole. There you go, nice and tidy. Those don't need to be tight because they're small. They're just holding on a cover. So where you place this on the spigot will determine how where the resting position of this is. So kind of look at it. It's about right. So push it in at that. Check that that's kind of where you think you want it. Boom, done. Put the fairing back on, done. Sweet, thanks for watching guys. Hope this was helpful. We'll see you in the next one.